Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Nuscale Power. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been tracking this idea of a double 1-2-1-2 setup that would expect a third wave to follow after. Now, since we broke the area of support in white, we have been considering other interpretations that could work out on this chart, and we have come up with this idea in yellow where we would have a more significant top within wave 1 at the all-time high. We would have an initial 5-wave move to the downside, which suggests with high likelihood that after a 3-wave correction, we should expect at the very least another 5-wave move to the downside. Yeah, this is the high probability interpretation, the main scenario we are actually tracking on this chart right now. And once this pattern is complete, we would expect to form a bottom. So short to mid-term, it would be a bearish scenario, but afterwards, after forming the bottom within this area, between the $15.3 all the way down to the $3.8 level, we would expect with high likelihood to form the next wave to the upside, the wave 3. And this would expect it to actually form even within an impulse. So long-term, it would still be a bullish scenario. It would be here, the initial 5-wave move to the upside within wave 1. It would be a 3-wave correction in wave 2. And then it would be the next 5-wave move to the upside within the wave 3. And for this, we are going to track this area of resistance, this yellow interpretation in an ABC structure. And for resistance, we would expect to get at least to the $24 level, yeah? The 38.2% retracement, but it extends all the way up to the $42.4 level. Now, if we manage to break even above the 78.6% retracement, it would be a strong signal that this structure has formed a more significant bottom already. It would be a strong signal that the next wave to the upside would be forming its breakout. But I would need to see a sustained break above this level, yeah? Not what we have done here within this white interpretation, in this wave 2 correction. This is only a few days we actually hung below the last level of support. Yeah, consider how large this correction has been and the amount of time we actually spent below the area of support. Yeah, not really substantial, not something to take to heart, to be honest. Now, in this pattern to the downside, we have been tracking this correction, this idea in orange, where this would be an ABC structure. This follows the wave 2 correction in the white interpretation, but the wave C is basically the same pattern we would be tracking within the wave A. It's a diagonal structure. It's a 5-wave move, and its subwaves are built of ABC structures. So it could have formed the bottom. In the white interpretation, it must have actually formed the bottom, because if we extend lower, I won't be tracking the white scenario anymore. But we could see extensions lower. We need to be prepared for lower extensions. And in the previous video, actually a couple of videos ago, I provided you the ideas for lower extensions. So this 5th wave could extend lower. It could form here an ABC structure, and we have been tracking just that. And fortunately, we did manage to break above the last level of resistance. Now, it wasn't a very sustained break, but it was decently high. So I'm not looking at this extension lower within the 5th wave as a high likelihood scenario. Yeah, it might have not been a very sustained break, but it was strong enough for me to consider that this is an early signal that we are going to extend higher. And unfortunately, there is an in-between scenario that could allow us to extend lower without getting to the area of resistance in yellow still. And this would assume that the 3rd wave has only bottomed here in an ABC structure. Yeah, we would have here the 3rd wave bottom, and the 4th wave could occur, and the 5th wave could still take us lower. Now again, if this forms, I would discard the white interpretation. But to be honest, it's not really my preferred scenario. In my preferred scenario, I am actually tracking an extension into the yellow resistance area at the very least. Yeah, if we manage to break above the last level of resistance, it's a signal that breakout is occurring, and an early confirmation would be a larger 5-wave move to the upside. And in this area, in this small time frame, we might have formed already the initial 5-wave move to the upside, but it's within such a fragile time frame that I would not consider it necessarily with a high likelihood scenario for continuation higher. I do prefer it. I really do prefer it. I want to see it happen. But right now, I'm waiting for the play. I'm waiting for a larger structure to provide us confirmation. And before we actually get into this area, I also wanted to point out, yeah, we were talking about the confirmation. The initial 5-wave move to the upside would be a confirmation that this structure is going to form a 3-wave correction, and with high likelihood, at the very least, another 5-wave move to the upside. Well, if we manage to get or to build this structure into the last level of resistance or very close to it, it is very likely that after the 3-wave correction, we would break the resistance levels. That is why it is an important confirmation level. It is a confirmation for higher extension. But I also want you to be extremely aware that while building this as a 1, 2, 3, well, this could be a wave B top. Even if we get to the ideal target of the wave 3, we could consider this an ABC structure. That is where we need to be extremely careful, especially if we get into the area of resistance, and we will be tracking relevant levels of support for continuation higher. But if we fail to hold them, it's a strong signal this structure is going to extend within the yellow scenario instead. But yeah, for now, let's focus in the smaller time frame, because we would still need here at least the wave 2 and the 3. Yeah, even that to complete the wave B in yellow. And in this idea, in the previous video, we were actually looking in this tiny time frame for extensions within this 5th wave. We were considering this to be a possible ending diagonal we could track, and we had here this idea of a 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th. We failed to build it. But fortunately, there is still a scenario that could allow us to consider a larger 5-wave move to the upside, or the 5-wave move to the upside to be complete, because I could consider this to be still a 1, 2 and a 3, but this wave 4 didn't need to bottom here. It only formed 3-wave patterns in every single direction, and I could consider this to actually be a triangle. And I wanted to showcase this to you, because this is an interesting pattern, yeah? We would expect to not break beyond the previous stops within each of the waves, yeah? We push the wave A down, we push the wave B up, we expect in the wave C to not break below the beginning of the wave A, within the wave D we expect not to break above the beginning of the wave B, and then within the wave E, we expect not to break below the beginning of the wave C. We followed through perfectly, and it is a more special pattern. It is formed of corrective waves in each direction, yeah, the entire structure, and it can appear within the wave 4 and the wave B. It can also appear within a wave X, but those are very often even more complex structures actually. Now, this is the case that this is a wave 4. We can consider this to be the wave 4 completion point, and then this could work out as a 5th wave, because we did need a 5-wave move to the upside within this 5th wave to consider this pattern as a full 5-wave count. Now, since this is the case, we don't need to track the internal structure anymore, and what I'm focused on is this idea of a 1-2 setup instead. So far, we have pushed perfectly into the first level of support at the $18.7 level, and if we were to build here this structure, this pattern we have within the wave 1 on the larger time frame, I would be looking with high likelihood, yeah, a high probability interpretation for a trade setup. Yeah, after a wave 2 correction, I would be looking for the next 5-wave move to the upside. But since it is on such a tiny, fragile time frame, I am much more cautious, yeah. Now, keep in mind, we did already get into the area of support. We can even consider this to be something like a WXY pattern that would allow the correction to be complete. We wouldn't need any additional lows, and we could already be in the next wave to the upside. Now, ideally, this is a wave 3, but it could be just a wave C in the wave B of the yellow interpretation, yeah, an ABC in the wave B. And realistically, unless we manage to actually build an impulse to the upside, I would not be able to consider this to be a wave 3. Now, I won't necessarily assume we have bottomed just yet. We don't have a very clear structure, especially within this small time frame, but I would be watching here resistance levels for possible continuation lower. Yeah, we have here the levels between the $19.9 all the way up to the $21.4, and the break above the 78.6% retracement would be a strong signal that this structure has formed a bottom already, that the next wave to the upside will occur. And within this interpretation in green, we are going to actually track a possible extension lower within this wave 2, which is no problem at all. Yeah, if we get an extension, we still have plenty of room within this area of support, and as long as we hold here the 78.6% retracement, I'm still looking for continuation higher. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.